All right, what is poppin', party people? You're tuned in for another episode of Pop Talk. This is your man, Professor Nails. I'm signing on for the Casual Rand,
What up, though?
Boston Jared,
Peace.
and Coach Dave.
Roof.
And we make up the pundits of pugilism. So before we jump in to our content, we want to make sure that you like and subscribe for this week. We're trying to get them subs up, making sure that we have the capacity to bring you this popping dialogue every week. But all right, our first topic of discussion is going to be the clash at 140 pounds with the Scotland Terror, Josh Taylor, taking on the Honduran monster and Teofimo Lopez. So this is a bout that is going to put together. Well, some say that it pits together two former undisputed champions, but there's some
discrepancies there.
When it comes to Lopez regarding the WBC belt and all that. I always kind of looked at him as an undisputed champion, particularly when he unified and kind of brought all the belts together when he beat Lomachenko. But I mean, that's neither here nor there. We can at least say that they were Ring Magazine champions at that weight. And this fight is actually for the Ring Magazine championship at 140. It's not for the undisputed because of the sanctioning body politics that has allowed them to kind of split up the belt at the time. But Josh Taylor is the lineal champion at 140. All right, so he was a person that unified it and became undisputed, and he hasn't technically lost at that weight class right now. So this fight is a pretty even fight. Is actually, if we look at the fight odds, Josh Taylor is a slight favorite, but it's close to a pick 'em. He's at negative 175, and Teofimo Lopez comes back at you at plus 135. So meaning that to get back $100, you would need to bet $175 on Josh Taylor, and a $100 bet on Teofimo Lopez will probably get you $135. So with this said, I also want to say that one of the discussions I want to just bring before we kind of give our picks is, where do we think that we are getting these fighters at within their careers? Because I would argue that besides the loss that Lopez had to Kambosos, that they are probably coming off of two of the worst performances of their careers. So Josh Taylor against Catterall, and then Teofimo Lopez against Sandor Martin. So let's start with you, Boston Jared. So what do you think? Are we getting prime fighters near their prime, or have we kind of missed the boat on that?
Nah, we're definitely getting two prime fighters, but like you said, they are guys that are coming off of two bad performances. A performance in Teofimo Lopez where he arguably could have lost to Sandor Martin. Same went with Jack Catterall and Josh Taylor. And both of those guys, if I would have been mad if anybody had scored either of those fights in favor of Martin and Catterall. So we are getting both of those guys in their primes, though. The one thing I'll say with Josh Taylor is, for the last several fights, I've questioned how much the weight cut is affecting him. He's a pretty big 140 pounder, and he's been fighting at that weight now for the last several years. And I don't know if that weight cut takes too much out of him at this point, but physically, Taylor is a guy with 18 professional fights?
19. They both have 19 professional fights.
19 professional fights.
Yeah.
And Josh Taylor is, how old is he? What is he, 30?
Josh Taylor is third. Give me 1 second. He's 32.
32 years old. Yeah. Both of these guys are primes. Teofimo Lopez can't be
25.
They're 25. Yeah. Both of these guys are prime guys. So we should be getting the best physically out of both of these guys. Now, whether or not we're going to get the best mentally out of both of these guys, especially Teofimo Lopez is behind, that remains to be seen, because who knows what goes on in the mind of Teofimo Lopez or his pops, for that matter.
All right, Coach Dave, what are your views? What do you think about where, and getting the fighters in their prime? This we want to talk about not only their physical prime but also their mental prime. So we got Josh Taylor, who has fought as high as 146 pounds, but he's always been a 140 fighter. But he's 5'10". He did. I did look. I don't know if you saw the interviews that they had. The kind of across the pond. He did look to be in good shape, so it seems like he might have taken it a little bit more seriously. With Teofimo, he's had a lot of just kind of bonker interviews so far. But what do you think about the fighters that we're actually going to get in the ring this weekend?
Yeah, man. So I think definitely, honestly, man, like no amplifying comments, man, beyond what Boston just said, man. I really felt what he was getting at. So I would, first of all, let me just reiterate, I agree with him in terms of these cats in their prime. And then something you just said, though, Professor, about the mental of a fighter, man. Because sometimes, a loss, a devastating knockout, what people don't realize is that mental strength or mental primeness can deteriorate a whole lot quicker than the body can, depending on what happens and how this fighter bounce back. I think Boston mentioned, and what was key, man, that's why I just want to reiterate, what was key is like looking at these last two performances, man. Honestly, I want to pull for Teofimo, but I think both these guys can crack. I think both these guys can crack, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like I think both these guys can punch. But I think it is all about that mental and who shows up. And I just kind of want to stress what you and Boston, if you listen at y'all comments together, man. I don't know, man, but like, to me, well, Teofimo's last fight I saw just sucked. The Catterall one, it won't the best, but it could have went either way. Teofimo fight sucked. So honestly, I just think it's whoever's going to be the strongest. I tend to want to lean and think that it's Teofimo, because this is both their opportunities to say, I know I'm relevant by name still in this division, but how I win this fight, how any one of them win this fight, and hear me out, will prove their relevance by performance, prove their relevance by the ability to whoop ass. So it is beyond a relevance by name. You know what I'm saying? Broner might be relevant fighter because simply by name, but performance, I don't know. But for this fight, to me, it is about a relevance based off of performance to say, I am absolutely worthy to be in the conversation when you mention those names like Haney, Shakira, blah, 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 blah. That's my take on it, man. Mentally, I'm hoping that Lopez shows up, man, do his thing.
Absolutely. So let's bring in the casual rant. So, and when we also talk about the prime of fighters, right? There's also their prime when it comes to their relevancy and how much they move the needle, right? So at this point, this fight is going to be fought in MSG, but it's in the small Hulu theater, which I think says a little bit something in itself. So, casual rant, just thinking about its appeal to the the casual boxing fan, the diehards are going to kind of tune in just to see, because this has some ramifications for the 140-pound landscape. But what do you feel about this fight, just as far as its kind of wider appeal to audiences?
Well, I mean, it's a UK fighter, which usually doesn't do well in the United States, and then against Teofimo, who we're now seeing as flawed. And to get back to the original question about the fighters in their primes, I know Coach Dave mentioned that was pushing for Tio coming in as strength. But you have to look at like Tio past fights. He was at 135, and he was always the bigger guy coming in fighting in the 135 weight class, especially against his best fight against Lomachenko. Now going up to 140, where Taylor has proven himself. Well, he's proven to be a big 140 pounder. Going up to 140 because he outgrew the 135, and then he's at 140, and he's been there for a while also. I don't think Tio's fought anybody like his size, and I think Taylor has proven that he belongs at 140. So given that, I suspect that if it comes to a boxing match, that Taylor will show his championship pedigree versus the Tio who usually bullies and weight bullies the smaller fighters in the weight division that he was in the 135. So when I put all that together, I think the advantage goes to Taylor because he's the naturally bigger fighter, and he's bigger than what Tio's used to. Now, to go to your question, Cam, about the appeal with casual fans, it still doesn't move the needle. One, this is for a belt, but Josh Taylor looked horrible against Catterall, and Tio looks horrible against Martin. So it's only the true fan base of these fighters that's really going to look for it and actually watch it. Where it goes after that, we all know that at 140, Prograis is the man to beat at 140 at this point in time. And then after that, whoever the crowd, I hate to say it, but I think Raleigh probably sell more tickets than any of these guys at 140
Really?
and their fights.
Yeah, I mean, Rolly and Ryan Garcia are the big at 140 as far as ticket sellers.
For ticket sellers, when your second part about moving the needle with fandom, I bet you that Raleigh, Raleigh sells more tickets than
Really? I mean,
Teofimo Taylor.
his last show was I didn't think it was. I don't know. It wasn't that impressive as far as the sale. And let's be clear. Even though we agree that Prograis seems to be the man at 140, Josh Taylor did beat him
At
already.
135.
No, Josh Taylor.
Was it at 140?
Now was at 140.
Yeah. That's what I meant.
Lower than
so 40. So at 140, but at the time, Prograis was like a smaller 140 going up. I think now if they fought now, I think Prograis give them the business because I think that I think Taylor should be at 146 by now or 147. But he's shrinking down again. But I think when he shrinks down, he's still better than Tio. But if he shrinks down again, I don't think he beats Prograis.
Randy's not the only person that I've heard say that over the last several weeks. When as you've seen, the different 140-pound belt holders make different kind of career decisions. Regis signing with Matchroom DAZN and Sabril Matiz signing with Matchroom DAZN. A lot of the conversation I've heard people echo those same sentiments that Regis is perceived as the guy who is ascending to the top of the division. Yeah, and because of Taylor's last performance, he's seen as a guy who's regressing and on the decline as far as in the 140-pound division. So, yeah, I don't think Randy is that far off with that. But, yeah, unfortunately, boxing being the way it is, the most talented guys in the division are also probably the least recognizable, the least well-known guys in the division. Regis, from what I understand, is having a very, very tough time moving tickets down in New Orleans for this homecoming fight that he's got coming up. Now, granted, he don't have much of an opponent. I never heard of the guy, Danielito, whatever his name, but I didn't know who Liam Pato was either. And Regis is the first boxing guy Regis is the first major boxing personality to come out of New Orleans. And I mean, can anybody else think of any other boxers out of New Orleans, like in the last 50, 60 years? So yeah, it's This is the new blue collar division. This is the new 154 pounds of boxing. Back a few years ago, before 154 pounds ate each other, when you had, Derevyanchenko, and you had Nate Gallimore, and you had Harrison, and you had all those guys where it was 6, 7, 8 fighters deep. 140 pounds has become that division where it's a tough fight 1 through 8. We got Gary Antoine Russell, we got Regis, we got Sabril Matias, we got Sandor Martin, we got Jack Catterall, Josh Taylor, Teofimo Lopez, Gary Antoine Russell. I mean, and if Devin Haney moves up into that division, I mean, it becomes probably the deepest division in the sport. But, not a lot of big money fights in that division. Right now, Ryan Garcia, in the strange world of boxing we live in, Ryan Garcia is the money guy in the 140-pound division. He's the guy that moves the needle the most, the guy with the least accomplishments and the least accolades, maybe not the least amount of skill, right? I don't, maybe not the least skilled guy, but the guy with the largest social media following.
Yeah, but I don't think you would favor him over any of over Josh Taylor, over Prograis.
No. I favor him over Rolly.
And Rolly,
Rolly's laughable. It's like, come on, who?
I think a
Rolly
Gary Antoine Russell fight would be interesting too. I think a Gary Antoine Russell fight would be interesting too between him and Ryan Garcia. I don't know that I'd favor Ryan Garcia, but it's going to be a lot more competitive than that Tank fight was.
It is. I mean, I think Russell is fighting a lot off of his name, more than his accolades, I think. But let's go and let's give our pundit picks for this. So we already have the odds. Taylor is a -175 favorite. Teofimo is a +135 underdog. Let's start with you, Coach Dave.
Hey man, I agree with what the casual said, man, and I'm valid points, man. But I'm gonna have to go with Teofimo, bro. I'm gonna have to go.
How's he gonna do it?
I'm going to say the distance because it's gonna be ugly, but I think he's gonna gut it out. I think it's gonna be ugly. I think it's gonna be ugly.
All right, Boston. Go ahead. We'll say. So we got Coach Dave. He's got a ugly decision. You got a unanimous decision split. You just.
Let's go with split, bro. Let's go with split. Yeah.
Boston Jared.
This is the most interesting part about this whole fight. It shouldn't be, but it's going to be, because this fight I've been predicting for a while now will end controversially. And I am going to pick Teofimo Lopez by robbery. And in a weird twist, in a weird twist of irony, in a weird twist of fate, after all the shit talking that Teofimo Lopez has been doing over the past 6 weeks about ESPN favoring black fighters and Devin Haney getting a gift decision and his pop saying into all the stuff about the robbery and all that stuff, Teofimo Lopez will become the benefactor of the same stuff that he's been complaining about. He will receive an egregious gift decision over Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor is, I put him in kind of in the same category that I put a Dimitri Bivol in, a guy with a whole lot of skill, a guy that deserves a lot more fame and recognition, but for whatever reason, just don't have it. He don't move the needle over in this country, and apparently he don't move the needle much over in his own backyard. People just don't care to see him fight. And unfortunately, in this world of boxing, guys who are worth the most money, guys who are worth more, you tend to lean toward those guys. I mean, Josh Taylor walks away with that belt, and you've got more lackluster. I mean, great for the hardcores, but Teofimo Lopez versus Rolly, or Teofimo Lopez versus Ryan Garcia or Teofimo Lopez versus Devin Haney moves the needle a lot more than anybody against Josh Taylor. And for that reason, I'm going with Teofimo Lopez by robbery. I'm going with a split draw.
All right, the casual one.
I'm going opposite for the same reasons. I mean, like Top Rank sees that Teofimo is a flawed fighter, so there's no need to keep promoting him and keep pushing this guy for anything. He already said that he already said that this is his last fight on ESPN and with Top Rank. So why give him the benefit of having a belt and then taking it and possibly taking it? Even if
he says all kinds of stuff though. Do we know that?
But that's what I'm just going by what he said. Versus somebody that Josh Taylor, okay, he's not filling the seats, but he's been loyal. And then, okay, let's get past this fight. And then maybe there's another fight in the horizon where we can go ahead and hand off that belt to. I wouldn't give it. Teofimo just doesn't look like a champion at 140. So why skew a fight or push if I'm Bob Arum, why would I push my influence to have a flawed 140 champion, knowing well everybody else at 140 is going to be looking at the chops to go ahead and knock him out, knock him off and get that belt.
Because he puts cheeks in the seats, Randy. I mean,
but does he? If he has another lackluster, if he has a lackluster performance and people say that it was a robbery that he won, the next fight, that's going to be 2 in a row that he had shitty performances. I don't see him selling out Walmart at this point.
I mean, look, guys like Jaime Munguia, my man, the Puerto Rican kid that fights over on DAZN now, what's his name? Who they're trying to make to fight Canelo here pretty soon, probably.
Yeah, but
Berlanga. All tremendously flawed fighters. All of those guys have somehow been able to amass a significant enough following where they have continued to get gift decisions. You'll see, and I suspect we will see another one. And we're going to get to that fight here shortly. I suspect we'll see another gift decision for Jaime Munguia and another gift decision for Berlanga whenever it is he fights against Jason Quigley.
Yeah, but those are gift decisions over lesser opponents. You saying that you're going to give a gift decision against a champion? Against a undisputed champion? You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
So I don't think even with that, I don't see that T.O. have the skill set. If the fight goes past 5 rounds, I don't see T.O. having anything in the bank that can beat Josh Taylor.
Do you think Josh Taylor has anything to stop? I don't think we've ever seen Josh Taylor stop anybody.
I don't, but I think he has enough boxing skills.
Oh, absolutely.
Josh Taylor has about the same knockout. He's got 13 knockouts.
Does he? Okay.
19 fights.
Bro,
but I'm saying at 140,
he's fought tough competition at 140.
Oh, but hey, look, guys, I'm not saying that Teofimo Lopez is the better fighter. I'm just telling you he's going to win by robbery. I'm
saying at 140, T.O. is going to have to knock him out within the first 5 rounds to win.
Okay.
So
I say all that to say that Josh Taylor is going to win a unanimous decision.
You did, huh? All right.
Yep.
And I'm gonna piggyback off of the casual one. So for me, I think that Josh Taylor is the naturally bigger fighter. He's fought as high as 146 pounds. Not only that, he's 5'10", he's longer, he's a southpaw, and I think that he's gonna capitalize over a lot of the success that Sandor Martin was able to have, even though he doesn't fight like Sandor Martin, who's on the back foot much of the time. But he's gonna say that, I mean, you can just close your eyes and throw that check hook against Teofimo Lopez, and he will literally run into it. And I just don't believe in his corner, and they'll be able to kind of make the technical adjustments or whatnot. His pops is just gonna be like, yo, you got to be more crispy. He's gonna, but he's
Come on, bro. Fuck him up, bro.
yeah,
knock him
exactly.
out.
And then he's gonna give
Come
him
on.
contradicting
What you
advice.
doing,
He's gonna be like, you need to be more patient. You know, take your time. What the fuck? Why don't you get this guy out of here? And I'm just like, what are you talking about?
Sage wisdom from Teofimo Lopez Sr.
And so and I think Josh Taylor I think he really understands that he can kind of pounce upon a bit of a, you know how lions like to attack the kind of limping prey, or say the little hampered prey. And I think that he could do this and to give himself a bit of a boost as he makes that jump to 147 pounds. Because I think this is without a doubt going to be his last fight at 140 pounds. But I think he understands the opportunity that's in front of him. And then Teofimo Lopez, I just don't understand some of his interviews that he gives. This guy is
He's going through it though. He's going
he's going through a very public divorce again, but it seems like he's been getting divorced for the last 2 years. Yeah, I mean, I've gone through it, so it does take that long. But at the same time, it's just that at some point you got to kind of put that to the back burner and then just kind of focus on that. And then he's talking about catching a body in the ring, and we know what happened last time. Somebody else was talking about catching a body in the ring. They got bodied. That was your boy Deontay Wilder. So, and I just for him, I just think that if you give all you got to do is be able to just plant a couple of seeds of doubt into his brain, and I think that's going to just metastasize and keep growing like some malignant cancer. And I just think that Josh Taylor is gonna just be good enough under, because I used to be a big fan of Teofimo and his pops, but I think that they've kind of pulled back the curtain, and I'm seeing what's to see. And I like Josh Taylor with the unanimous decision on this fight.
Let me just ask y'all this to end this segment, unless we want to talk more about this. If both of these fighters were stocks, right? Stocks and bonds, who is the more valuable commodity, boxing commodity right now? Josh Taylor or Teofimo Lopez? Who has more value? And then Dave, from promoter standpoint.
Well, if you ask who has more value, I mean, if I'm thinking long-term investment, to be honest with you, dude, I would have to go with Josh Taylor. Because when hear me out though. So when you're talking in terms of stock, kind of like what Cam and them was just what the Professor Nims was just saying, that Joker's a high risky stock, bro. Him and his whole dad and his whole corner and all that stuff, bro. So if you're asking me about a solid long-term stuff, I would probably go with Josh Taylor, depending on how this fight went, to be honest with you, bro. You know what I'm saying? You know how you watch a stock and see what it's gonna do before you buy it. That's why I'm saying this fight to me is absolutely about relevance, bro. So for me, Josh Taylor right now, if I was going to
I would say so. Yeah. And I like coach analogy. It just, with some stocks you have that have a, they have a kind of a big upside, or, there's opportunity, but then they're kind of a risky kind of a stock. I think Josh Taylor is the more stable, stock at this point. There is a little bit more potential in Teofimo because of his age and his potential drawing ability. But I think when you talk about a stock that is stable, and then that you would feel more comfortable investing in, I would agree. I would say Josh Taylor. Rand, what say you?
I mean, it depends on what's your motive. I mean, if you're trying to make money as a promoter, I understand what you're trying to get at, Jared, and that is definitely Teofimo. But at the same time, Raleigh is that guy too that can put ass in seats. So I understand what you're saying as a promoter, and you want ass in seats and eyeballs on screen. who would you want to win? And that would be Teofimo, because Josh Taylor, like UK style doesn't translate in the US. There's very few UK fighters that we're like, oh shit, I gotta get this pay-per-view fight.
Yeah.
So that's a negative. Even though, so I'm not taking anything from Josh Taylor, a great fighter, a unified champ, but he's never going to get that fan base. I mean, yeah, undisputed champ, but he's never going to get that fan base from here. So I get what Boston is saying, but at the same time, bro, he unless we keep him fighting as the A side, fighting lesser opponents and just being that showcase, the showcase fights instead of championship fights, there's no need to invest in Teofimo.
All right, then. I think that's a great point. I'm kind of we don't want to go there. I don't see this this Rolly Romero putting butts in the seats. I don't see where y'all get that.
No, even Shakur Stevenson said it. Yeah, he was like, yo, man, he'll sell tickets, but he's a horrible fighter.
Man, this guy, y'all are looking at when he fought Tank Davis, and then it's just like when Floyd Mayweather. His last fight was there was plenty of empty seats. Nobody.
No, I understand what you're saying, Cam. His name alone isn't going to sell the seats. But if you put Rolly Romero against Shakur Stevenson, that's going to be. And Shakur alone ain't selling out box offices. So don't go there with that. But if you put
that's true.
So if you put Haney against Raleigh or Shakur against Raleigh, that's going to be a pretty high, a decent pay-per-view fight. But individually, these guys ain't selling shit.
Yeah, except Ryan. Except Ryan is the only guy that can probably move the needle by himself. But
and Tank.
Right, but Tank ain't in the division. Tank's not a 140-pound fighter, as he made very, very clear.
Yeah. So your criticism against Raleigh is I understand it, but you can say that against a lot of the champions that we have right now.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on, we're going to give the women some love at this, and we're going to let Coach do a little bit of a deep dive. So we seen the GWOAT was in action this weekend. Clarissa,
we're gonna stop, or we're gonna keep going.
Oh yeah, let's take a break. Thank you for that. So let's go ahead.